Hello, everyone. We can just get started now. Nice to meet everyone. I see some new faces in here. New names and faces and cute pictures too. My name is Kay Good. Welcome to the Basin meeting. My pronouns are she, they, and I'm the lead organizer. We can start out by doing some intros. If folks feel moved to, you can either put your name in the chat or come off mute and just say your name, pronoun, and the question could be like, what is a movie you're excited about seeing this month? It could be a show or a movie, whichever. Yeah, anyone want to jump in?
Hey y'all, I'm Asha, she, hers. I am the community organizer for Spark. The cooing in the background is my little homie Taj. Um, a movie that I'm excited to see. Not gonna lie, I don't really watch movies, but I'm excited for that House of Dragons or whatever series to come out on HBO Max. That Game of Thrones spinoff. Yeah, I'm ready for more of it.
Hey y'all, my name is Erin. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm the communications manager here at Spark. I don't know any movies coming out, but there's a show called The Wilds on Amazon Prime that Carter put me on. And this season 2 is starting next week, I think. So I'm really excited about that.
Hey y'all, I'm Carter, they, them pronouns. I work at Spark 2. I'm the operations coordinator. And I'm excited for the Wilds, like Erin said. I also just saw a movie I was really excited about, which I'm sure some folks have heard of, Everything Everywhere All at Once. And the hype is like, it's a good movie. Like I didn't want to go into it with really high expectations because I feel like that's an easy way to get disappointed. And I usually am when people like hype things up, but it's a really, really, really good movie.
Hey y'all, this is Alyssa, she, her pronouns. I'm really a comic book fan, super hardcore, and I'm excited to see the Batman. I've been waiting for it for a few years now since they were in pre-production, and I can't wait to see it. I'm really excited, so.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sarana, and I actually met Asha and a few folks at the Emory Reproductive Health Association table. There was like an event. I'm a student on campus. And I would say a movie I'm looking forward to see is an old movie, so don't judge. It's Aquaman. It's just a movie I haven't seen, and I've heard it's really good, and so it's literally on my to-do list. Yeah, I'm hoping to see that this week.
Hey, I'm Carolyn Aidman, and I'm with Emory's Urban Health Initiative, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. And the Urban Health Initiative is really working to be inclusive. So I thought I would just hear what's going on and see if we can send students in your direction and maybe partner. The movie that I'm interested in is Coda. That's the one that has all of the people in it are deaf.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brandy Blue. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And this is my second Spark meeting. So it's nice to see the returning people again and nice to see new people. And Alyssa, you stole mine because actually I started to watch Batman last night, but it was so dark, not dark the story, just physically dark that I kept falling asleep. So I'm going to give it another try tonight because I've heard it's really good. So that'll be my pick. Thanks, guys.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Jordan. My pronouns are she, her. And I guess something I've been looking forward to watching, just to go with the continue the superhero theme. I know Into the Spider-Verse is getting a second movie. I don't know when that's coming out, but I just know what's happening, and I'm excited for it.
Hey, I'm Shari. I like when people call me by my name, so you can call me Shari. If you need to use a pronoun, you can use she. Um, and I am excited for, I just started the second season of Russian Doll. So I'm excited to finish watching that.
I think that's everyone. I wanted to also add my movie. I wanted to say I'm excited for Doctor Strange coming out May 6th. I don't know if y'all heard of that, but it's going to be good. Um, but yeah, we can jump right in. I have a few updates. If anyone else on the team want to like jump in and talk about any updates that they have going on or that I may have missed, but I'm only naming a few. So last week, the zine, an ode to us, love letters to those who, birth, breathe, and is officially out now. If you go to our digital library, on our Spark page, sparkrj.org on our website, you can see the tab where it says digital library, and you can access the zine. It's really cute. Um, it's full of letters, some love letters and notes submitted to folks that matter and that folks care about. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Aaron dropped the link below. So if you want to check it out even now while we're talking, you can. It's really small, so it's cute. But yeah. Also, we're still hiring for a deputy director. If you look on the Spark Instagram or on the website, you can find more information regarding that. And that application deadline is May 2nd. Um, I'm trying to think of anything else. Um, yeah, do folks have anything else that they want to? Oh, and then a link in there as well. Does anyone else from the team want to? Oh, also in the chat, there's your Uber Eats voucher as well. So make sure you order yourself some dinner. But yeah, does anyone else on the team have anything else they want to like update folks on? Anything pressing?
Nothing pressing. But I want to highlight that if anybody ever wants to talk to me, you can schedule a one-on-one with me. I love Calendly because it just automatically shows when I'm available. So you pick whatever works for you and it automatically works for me. And then also feel free to, I'm going to drop the base member group chat in the messages. And then lastly, I don't feel like it has ever been brought up, but I have proposed that we don't call our base members, but spark plugs. You get it? Like, we're spark, y'all are the plugs, right? Spark plug, but then the spark plug is actually a thing. Don't laugh at me, y'all. I need hearts. You gotta heart me. But if y'all like that, then yes, these will be spark plug meetings. When you talk about how much you love spark, you'll be like, yeah, I'm a spark plug. Like, I love it. But that's all my updates.
Thank you for sharing. Oh, I also wanted to ask you, did you want to bring in the conversation around like in-person meetings?
Yes. I just want to take a little temperature check. How do y'all feel about in-person engagement these days? And you can come off mute or you can write in the chat. But are there certain parameters that you need in order to feel comfortable being around other people? Would you prefer to meet inside or outside? Do you strongly love and appreciate this virtual option and you never want to give it up? Yeah, let me know some of y'all's thoughts.
Also adding for folks who don't feel comfortable with being in person or may not live in Georgia, we also will be doing like, or figure out how to work through doing like hybrid option as well. So like having a Zoom while also having an in-person space for folks that feel comfortable. But yeah.
Okay, there's a couple messages in the chat. Aola says that they'd love to physically share space with everyone and preferably outdoors. And hybrid is lit. Shari is down for COVID safety measures anyways. Okay. Jordan, comfortable in person as long as we're rocking with some masks. I appreciate that. Thanks, y'all.
Okay, cool. Thanks for sharing, everyone. If you are still writing out a response, that's fine. You can put it in the chat. But yeah, we can continue on. So for today, we wanted to do like a little categories game, something fun, but also maybe we could do every other one um over the warmer months. I like the idea as well. Thanks for sharing that, Carter. Yeah, but I was going to say, yeah, so basically with today, like the agenda for today, we're basically going to be doing like something fun to get folks, in the engagement vibe, I guess. So we're gonna do like a categories, but then after that, we're going to have facilitation by Kay, and we can jump into an intro and more about like what they're going to be presenting with us a little later. But basically, it's around the conversations around like reproductive justice and the intersections of disability justice. But yeah, so Asha, would you mind starting the screen for the categories? Or also, what folks want to do that? How do folks feel about playing categories? Do folks know how to play it? Is that a vibe right now? I love categories. Okay, cute. Shari says I love categories. Okay. Asha, are you there?
Yes, I need hosting privileges really quick.
Okay, cool. 1 second. Okay, boom. Let me know if that works. And the categories is just like, it's a randomized game. It's not specifically like RJ's categories or anything like that. It's just something fun, you know, to get folks talking and, just having a little fun on this Tuesday. Hey.
Can y'all see?
Yeah, I think I can see. Can everyone else see? You just put a thumbs up or say yeah.
Sweet.
Okay, cool. So, go ahead.
Oh no. I was just gonna say rules.
Oh, are you about to say them, or you wanted me to say?
Either of us.
Oh, okay. I'm a little rusty with categories. So basically, like if you see the C, when the button when we press play, a list of words will come up or phrases, and you'll just have to like come up with a phrase that starts with a C. And you have 120 seconds. Wait, let's change that. Let's make it a little less time. Maybe like, is 45 good, or is that too long? I mean, or too short?
I was thinking 120 and then see if we need how much less time we can cut next, just in case some folks need more time.
You're right. Okay, that works. Okay, cool. Does everyone get the game?
I suggest pulling out your notes app or
A pen and paper.
yeah.
Is this something we're supposed to log into? I don't know how to play this game.
Oh no, I'm sorry. So yeah, basically like you would write down a word that starts with a C based off of the category, and the categories are blocked off right now, but when Asha presses play, it'll say different categories. So say one will say I don't know, fire, and then you have to think of something that's related with a C that starts with a fire. So like combustion,
Okay.
Coal.
and
I
then you write
got
it
you.
down.
Okay.
Sorry
Thank
about
you.
that.
No problem.
Okay.
I just wanted to say what the goal was in case for the folks who haven't played before. So after the time is up, everybody will go around and say what word they have for each of the categories, all the way down to 12. So we'll go around, everybody will say what they have for number 1, and then everybody will say what they have for number 2. And what you're trying to do is have a word that no one else has. Because if somebody else has your word, you have to cross it out and you don't get that point. So try to think of some different stuff rather than just like what you think everybody else will have.
And what kind of words are we looking for? Like, what kind of words should we be using?
Whatever pops into your head. But this will be a practice round. So then whatever confusion I think we might have, we can get it clarified as we play. Because look, once I press play, you can now see all the categories. And all the categories that pop up, you just need to find a word that relate with that the letter, this big letter C. But yeah, any more questions? All right, I am going to get started. Time's up.
Okay. Can you press OK? I think it comes back up, right? All the words. I mean, all the phrases. Okay, so would anyone want to go first and share some of the words that they have?
I can go first.
Okay.
Okay. For one, and some of mine are real common, but for one, I have curry. 2, I have cat. 3, Canva. 4, I put car, but maybe that was just electric and not electronic. But anyway, 5, cheerleaders. 6, Catherine. 7, conga. 8, cardinal. I didn't have anything for 9 because I put car for 4. 10, can soda. 11, Cairo. And then I didn't have anything for 12.
I can go next if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. For number 1, I had chow mein. Number 2, I had clown. Number 3, I had chrome. Number 4, I had camera. Number 5, I had cup. Number 6, I had Cali. Number 7, I had cabbage patch. Number 8, I had crow. And then that's all. That's as far as I got.
Okay. Wait, so we kind of got confused a little bit. So basically, like what we're supposed to do is go through each one. So let's say like the first one is ethnic, and then everyone shares their choice from that one. And then if no one has your choice, then you get a point, I believe. So if you don't have to start all over, but the people who hadn't gone, if y'all can share your number 1 choice, and then we can go through the second one and so forth.
Calamari.
Okay. Some folks in the chat, couscous, that's a good one. Chow mein, chicken shawarma, cheese Danish, Cantonese, and coquito. Okay. And then calamari too. Okay, so it looks like no one has any of the same words for the first one. Did everyone
Chow
say
mein.
this?
It was chow mein.
Yours was chow mein?
No, whoever spoke right before you, I think they said chow mein.
I believe that was Alyssa that spoke before me, actually.
Well then never mind.
Oh, chai tea. Is chai tea a food? Wait, is coquito a food? It's a drink, right? Do drinks count?
Yes.
Okay. Cherry mochi. Oh, mochi. I never had that. Sounds good. Okay. Well, it sounds like everyone would get a point for that one. I'm really learning as I go too. It's been a while since I played this game. Oh, curry. Asha, didn't you have curry too?
No, I said coquito.
Somebody else said curry, I think. Oh, Shari did. So Ryan and Shari, y'all don't get a point for that one. No, unfortunately. um. Okay, cute. So we can go to the next one, number 2. Oh, Asha was already ready. Okay, Asha said cow. Did anybody else say cow? Or y'all can just put y'all's in the chat. Asha, you didn't get a point.
Right? Dang it.
Period. But it was the only one I could think of. Not Chucky. Oh no, I shouldn't have said that. Shari said cat. Carnival barker. I'm interested. What's a carnival barker?
You know, the guy that leads the carnival. He's like, no, he's the guy that calls people into the carnival. Am I
Oh,
insane? I'm not the only one that knows this, right?
I didn't know that. You taught me something.
He wants to guess your age and your weight.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to look at the other ones. Oh, okay. Yeah, did everybody else put input their, I guess, selection in the comments? I guess so. We can go to the second one. So the second one is computer programs. Start with the C. Oh, Cosmic Fairy. That's cute. I would love to see that costume. So computer programs, C++, Calendly, Canva. I mean, it's still a computer program technically. I mean, kinda. I don't know. Call of Duty. I don't know. I'm not a gamer. I don't know. Are games technically computer programs? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Somebody, oh, Carter said, I say yes. I mean, what defines a computer program? You just download it and add it to your computer? A program on your computer?
There are video games you can play on a computer and someone has to program it, right?
I was to say, yeah, well,
True.
games got to be programmed, so maybe so.
Okay. Well, that was a good one. Call of Duty was a good one. Okay. I don't know why there's a helicopter outside if y'all hear that, but yeah. But we can jump to the next one. It sounds like almost everybody got a point, I think, for that one. So things at a football game. Oh, I was like, a computer chip is at a football game? A coach, yes. Cars, corn dog, cheerleader, a cup. Wow, the clapping one is creative. Clapping is at a football game.
Super creative. Go off.
Of course, it's Alex. You know, cleats. Period. I didn't even think about that. Coaches. If it's with an S, does it count? If somebody else said it, if it's with an S,
Yes.
it's plural. Dang. You know what kind of cup? I mean, isn't it cups at the games, period? Like just cups. I mean.
You missed the joke, okay?
Oh, I missed it. Oh, okay. Oops. Sorry. I miss things. All right. Let's do a girl's name. Which is up for debate because, Callie, cute. Christina. Oh, wait, two people said Callie. Kathy, Chelsea, Connor. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Calliope? I don't know.
LP, right?
You
Callie?
know you seen Grey's Anatomy and Dr. Calliope Torres.
So I actually
know
never seen that show.
You never seen Grey's Anatomy?
No.
Oh,
Carter
don't ever
hates
watch
me.
it. Don't ever watch it. Don't ever watch it. All the people that watch it now, we're screwed. Like we're screwed. Don't ever watch it. But
I won't.
that's a doctor on there, Calliope Torres.
That's a cute name, actually.
It is a cute name. I don't know who thought of that, but that's cute.
Live P. Okay. Oh, let's do kind of dances. This one's I feel like will be interesting. Oh. See, y'all smart because I couldn't think of nothing. Cabbage Patch, conga, cha-cha, chicken noodle soup, period with a soda on the side. That is crunk, yes.
Let it rain, clear it out.
Right. Oh, Asha, you couldn't think of nothing at all? Okay.
No, and I'm looking at all these dances. I did the cat daddy at prom on my jacked up knee and almost couldn't get up. Like, it's okay.
Okay, let's do birds. Carter, you should prevail in this one. Maybe, I don't know. Cardinal, crow, canary, cuckoo, chicken, chickadee, oh, cockatoo. Oh, Smile said crow too. Period.
Dang, somebody else said crow.
Oh, Smile said canary too. Okay. Let's do things you can save up to buy. A car, yeah. Camera. Cabbage farm. A casino, yes. Computer. Oh, somebody said car. Um, okay, cute. Um, okay, and then items in the vending machine. But crawfish is in the vending machine?
Crawfish chips.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
In not the US.
No comment. That doesn't sound tasty.
You can buy condoms in a vending machine?
Yeah, somewhere. I feel like I've seen it before. Cliff Bar, chips, canned soda. Calculator. I had never seen that at school before, but maybe my school wasn't rich enough. Okay, the last two. And then after these last two, we can just take a break and let folks get, their Uber Eats and get ready for the next portion. But yeah, I thought this was fun. But yeah, let's do cities, foreign cities. Cairo. Can Cincinnati be foreign, like technically to somebody?
It's foreign to someone.
Right.
How you gonna take my city?
They're foreign to you, so. Cape Haiti, Copenhagen. I can't pronounce that one. Cincinnati.
It's a
I feel like
good
I'm
one.
spelling it wrong, but I'm trying to say Cote d'Ivoire.
See, look, that sounds cute. I'm changing my name to that. That's that's my gender today. However you say it. Cartagena. I'm adding a little N at the end, but I don't know if it's
Isn't Cote d'Ivoire a
Car-
country? I think?
Cartagena. Yeah. Yeah. Ivory Coast is a country.
It is a. Are we doing? We're doing cities. Okay.
Yeah, foreign
Yikes. I thought you
cities.
said. I thought you said countries. Thank you for correcting me. Whoever did. Yikes. Yay.
All right, somebody already said Cape Town, Aola. Okay, and then the last one before our break, we can do things that have buttons. Oh, that's a good one. Cardigan. I didn't even think about that. Calculators, chess, coat, controller. I'm surprised nobody said cell phone. I thought somebody would have said cell phone.
Because they don't have buttons anymore.
Oh, I mean, they do have buttons. Those like virtual buttons, digital buttons. I mean,
The flip phones do. The flip phones,
and
they still have flip phones.
it's buttons on the side of your phone, the power button and the volume
That's
button.
true. That is true.
Hmm. Oh, somebody did say cell phone. Okay. Well, I didn't say it because technically I didn't do this round, but okay, next time we do this game, we're definitely going to like have some prizes. So, I'm glad now everybody's acclimated to it. So when we do this in another base member meeting, it's going to be real cute and challenging. But everybody did good. I mean, yeah, I only played it like 3 times. So, but Brandy said I love that game. Um, this was so hard. Haha, I liked it. Yes, it's difficult, but after a while you get into the groove of it. Aaron said it's my favorite game. I like it too. Okay, cute. I'm glad everybody likes it. I can't wait till we get to do this again. Probably the next time we do it, it may be like RJ categories or something or phrases. But yeah, so we can take a quick break, 15 minutes. We can come back at 6:57. We can come back at 6:57, just a few minutes before K has to start. Not me, but another K. But yeah, grab your food, take a little bathroom break, get some fresh air, stretch, and we'll be right back. Does anybody have any music that they want to play while we're gone? Well, I guess maybe Asha and Carter because y'all the co-hosts.
I can just play from my phone, or I guess I can share my screen and play.
Cute, thanks.
a movie. I've been bubbling like jacuzzis. I'm not trying to front, but now I do it. I want like Lil Uzi. You do you, and I'ma do me. I've been turning over new leaves. I'm so high up in the sky, you think that I just rode the doobie, but my drug of choice is peace. I'm so at ease. I'm trying to spread this feeling from the floor to ceiling like disease. Something crazy epidemic. Happiness is living in me just like a tenant. And I bet that if you let it in, then you'll be feeling what I'm feeling. This amazing feeling. Like if you blink, you miss. Now you're convinced it can't be real. You rub your eyes and pinch yourself, but nothing that you try will help. I know because I did the same thing. Only thing that's working is dancing in this garden of truth. All the flowers are dancing with me. And we're so high from life, I ain't never ever gonna come down. Are you with me now? Tell me, are you with me now, baby? I just wanna know, can you tell me, tell me? Tell me, are you with me now? Can you tell me, baby? Are you with me now? Tell me, are you with me now? Can you tell me, baby? Are you with me now? Are you with me now?
You only call me when you need something. I need to be free. Time to spread my wings. I don't like leeches. All that nonsense, gon' get back with ya. Don't got time for snitches. You're pulling me down, but you was my sister. My strings propagate through space and time, here and there at the same time. In dimensions and basic rhyme, you ain't gotta be mad. Look deep and go higher when you climb, but stay out of my path, but stay out of my flight path.
Never feeling lonely, only gliding, flying, always being constantly reminded. Time is running up, don't waste your luck, sucker. This is my life, don't mix that up. This is my light, don't block the sun. This is my seat, can't you tell? This is my time, don't waste it up. This is my land, not for sale.
Desert air blowing through my hair. As we blow through the square, we don't even care. Dirt roads and bare feet, tied to memories so sweet. Mesmerized men at my feet. Let's go to the top, just you and me. As the sun hides and fog takes over, I called it African November. Don't wait for me, son. Oh, don't wait for me. Don't wait for me, son. No, don't wait for me. My strength. time, here and there at the same time. Hidden dimensions and basic rhyme. You ain't gotta be mad. Look deep and go higher when you climb. But stay out of my path, but stay out of my flight path. Never feeling lonely, only gliding, flying. Always being constantly reminded. Time is running up, don't waste your luck, sucker. This is my life, don't mix that up. This is my light, don't block the sun. This is my seat, can't you tell? This is my time, don't waste it up. This is my land, not for sale.
Name is just a name. Don't call me crazy. And rain don't feel like rain. It's been so calming lately. Love is just a word unless you show it. So tell me what you call me when I'm not around.
I used to have a name that looked like butterflies and Hennessy. I'll trade it in for happiness, but joyful don't remember me. Sitting on my front lawn,
Carter,
waiting
would
for
you
him to call me. He
turn
said
your
he
music
knew my
down?
name. Shame on me, fool me once, shame on you. I got my candy cane, my name is hella.
Thanks for being the DJs. But yeah, so we're back, everyone. Um, Asha, did you want to take over and introduce our next speaker? Well,
I do. All right. Hey, y'all. So we are about to have Kay. Kay Adetoyin Agbaby. Did I do that right, Kay? Is a sweet Black lesbian and disabled organizer, writer, and macro social worker from Kennesaw, Georgia. The majority of Kay's work revolves around political education, writing, and organizing strategy in regards to ending the prison industrial complex. In their 7+ years of organizing, Kay has organized in groups working on immigration, LGBTQ, reproductive, disability, and racial justice. They have been a member of numerous coalitions and were a co-founder of the viral 8toabolition.com. During their time in Brooklyn, Kay was also an organizer with No New Jails campaign, Inside Outside Collective, and an active member of Survived and Punished New York. They also created a disability justice mutual aid fund, which raised over $60K for disabled organizers. Kay currently organizes in several abolitionist formations, and with the hashtag Free Ashley Now campaign, which is a campaign to free their friend Ashley Diamond. They currently serve as the Georgia Policy and Movement Building Director for URGE. Kay currently resides in Atlanta, Georgia, and when they are not working and organizing, they enjoy spending time reading, exploring outside, and hanging out with their friends and partners.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me, everyone. Like my bio said, I work for URGE, but I figured I could come and talk to y'all outside of my URGE capacity and kind of talk about disability justice and also the work that I'm currently doing around abolition and how the two intersect. So I'm excited to be here. Okay. So like I said, the presentation's about disability justice and the movement for abolition. There's a lot of well, I prefer a lot of interactions when giving presentations slash workshops. So there are going to be a lot of questions for y'all to answer in the chat, and it would be amazing if um, y'all could like collaborate with me while I'm presenting. So like through engaging and answering the questions, asking any questions that you may have, and just like being involved. I mean, it's pretty late for me, but I know everyone's pretty tired, but it would be great. Next slide, please. And yeah, we can skip over this slide too, because Asha did a great introduction. My first question is just checking in. My friend likes to do this check-in a lot. How are you feeling physically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually? And for this, I think we can share in the chat. So I'll share now. But yeah, if everyone who feels up to it can answer this, that would be great. Okay, so we have one person in the chat, and Asha feels physically amazing. That's great. Um, okay, another person with probably too much caffeine. Um, okay, well, yeah, we'll just let the answers come in for a couple more minutes. Okay, some people are tired. Overall, it seems like we're pretty much in a good-ish place. But yeah, feel free to answer throughout the presentation, and we can go to the next slide, please. Um, Asha, I don't know if you heard me, but I can go to the next slide. Thank you. Can you go back a slide, please? Sorry. Okay. Okay, that's good, I think. So yeah, I just wanted to briefly go over the difference between disability rights and disability justice. Um, for a lot of non-disabled people, or what I call ableds, disability rights is usually the first thing that comes to mind when someone notices a disabled person advocating for themselves. And it's a framework that is becoming increasingly more popular, because it's something that's talked about usually with like a corporate mindset, or like a legal mindset. For example, a lot of people, when they think about disability rights, they think about like the Americans with Disabilities Act, which is legislation. So um, when disability rights and like the way that we conceptualize that started, it was really based on a single issue identity, focusing exclusively on disability, um, and without thinking about other people or other intersections of oppression like race or gender, sexuality, age, immigration status, etc. And because of that being the way that disability rights were talked about and conceived of, um, it led to a very white focused movement, or a movement that didn't have an analysis of class or gender, etc. And disability rights also um, focus people focus on physically disabled people who had mobility impairments. So like again, if people think about disability rights or justice, they might think of um, pictures of like disabled people having like sit-ins, on like Capitol steps, using like crutches or a wheelchair, etc. And while people with physical disabilities, especially mobility impairments, are heavily stigmatized in society, um, and I say that as someone who uses a mobility aid, that's not the only type of way to be disabled or experience ableism. So this analysis of disability rights was written by Sins Invalid, which is a very famous disability justice performance troupe. Um, so I just wanted to break down what disability rights are, and that's not what we're going to be talking about today. Next slide, please. Also, if I'm talking too fast, like I said in the chat, I drank coffee at 6, so please let me know, and please let me know if you have any questions. So, ableism, this definition of ableism was created by T.L. Lewis, and T.L. is a disabled organizer and lawyer, and a lot of T.L.'s work revolves around disability justice, but also abolition. And T.L. came up with a really great definition for ableism, and T.L. updates it pretty much every year. So this is this year's definition, which is a system of assigning value to people's bodies and minds based on societally constructed ideas of normalcy, productivity, desirability, intelligence, excellence, and fitness. These constructed ideas are deeply rooted in eugenics, anti-Blackness, misogyny, colonialism, imperialism, and capitalism. This systemic oppression that leads to people in society determining people's values based on their culture, age, language, appearance, religion, birth, or living place, health and wellness, in quotation marks, and or their ability to satisfactorily reproduce, excel, and behave. You do not have to be disabled to experience ableism. Yeah, so a lot of times when people hear about ableism, if they even hear about it, they just think of it as discrimination against people with disabilities. But it's so much more than this. It's like any other system. It's the air we breathe. Like, we live in an ableist world or an ableist society, and it's not about just like hurting people's feelings or like a one-off incident. And because of that, that means that we all enact ableism in varying ways, even disabled people. And also, ableism is highly, highly tied to criminalization, which is why it's important for me to have a disability justice analysis when I'm doing abolitionist work. Studies show that 1 in 4 disabled, or 1 in 4 incarcerated people are disabled in some way. And that's a huge percentage of people who are incarcerated, and many of them are incarcerated without any form of their healthcare needs being met. Another thing to think about with ableism is the way that race plays a role in just how we conceptualize disability. And I was lucky enough to see T.L. Lewis present on disability justice in person several years ago. And one thing T.L. brought up is that for a lot of Black people, it's very rare to say I'm disabled or, oh, that's a disabled relative, because disability is thought of as an insult or of only presenting in a certain way. So, excuse me. So TL just brought the fact that, like, instead of saying, oh, I'm disabled, your aunt might be like, oh, I'm diabetic, or you might have an uncle who who walks with a limp and doesn't use a mobility aid, or you might have like a grandparent who always falls asleep or like remember or forgets your name frequently. So it's very much focused on like, this is the person and this is the way that they interact with us, and less about like identifying them as disabled or with as a member of a larger group. And so, like I was saying before, ableism isn't about just like hurting someone's feelings or using the incorrect terms, etc. It's about people feeling pity for disabled people, erasing us, dehumanizing us, either through, I guess, like placing us on a lower level or placing us on an unrealistic pedestal. It's about exclusion, and it's also about violence. And yeah, experiencing ableism is experiencing violence, and sometimes that violence is physical. So a question for the group is, what does TL's definition of ableism bring up for you? And feel free to type this in the chat or say it on mic. But I would love to get a couple answers for this. And just a reminder that this is a very interactive workshop. So I will be the type of person who stops on each slide until someone answers. Um, but yeah.
Okay, well, I'll say that, like, I think there's a lot of like breaking down disability disabilities and how they show up in our day to day in this definition. And I think sometimes ableism is like thrown around without like a lot of intention of what it is or how it can show up, even when we don't name it. And so I really appreciate TL's definition that like humanizes ableism, and also like you mentioned, at like applies like class consciousness, race consciousness, and all the other intersections of like disabilities and discrimination and the roles that they play in people's lives. Um, I know a lot of times, like I have like pretty severe ADHD, which is why like the first two times that you said like speak, it just did not even register to me because there's like 900 things happening in my house right now and I like could not pay attention. And so sometimes it's really hard for me to like view that as a disability, even though it's like a different way that my brain works and like truly does impact like most of the things I do in my day to day. But I think that this definition is all encompassing in a way that like allows people to really view ableism in something that applies to them and their lives and their lived experience. So, yeah.
Thank you. For me, I think that something that's interesting about this definition is the ending, which says that you don't have to be disabled to experience ableism. Um, and I still am not like done thinking about that. Um, but I was wondering if that brought up anything for anyone, or if anyone else has any other reflections.
I was typing in the chat, but I can say it out loud. I went to Google to look at the definition again, just because it was long, and I wanted to get the last part. But I'd be interested to. I don't want to say like hear more, but maybe know more about how. I keep looking at how religion, and specifically Christianity, since that's what I was raised in, contributes to ableism. And it looks like TL added that part to the definition most recently. But I don't know if it's saying, well, no, I do think it's saying like how people are valued based on like religious beliefs, if that's what I'm understanding. And so I think that's what stuck out the most to me.
That's a good point. And I mean, I was raised Christian, but not super religious. But like something that I commonly hear as a disabled person is like, well, like you're gonna get better. I'm just gonna pray for you. Or people who use wheelchairs frequently are told that or prayed over without their consent. Um, and so like a lot of spirituality is pretty much forced upon me if I leave my house with my cane, which signals to other people that I'm disabled. Um, and that's just something that I think about with this definition. In the chat, someone says, as a disabled person who uses a cane, sometimes it's hard for me to see myself separate from able-bodied people. I definitely think that I can relate to this. And it's something that comes up a lot for me in organizing, and also just at work in general. Can we go to the next slide, please? So this is, I'm going to try to do an image description, but it's basically a very, very complicated chart labeled the medical industrial complex. And in each corner of the chart, there's a different colored box. So in the top left corner, there's science and medicine. Top right is health. Bottom left is access. And then bottom right is safety. Sorry, I think it got cut off a little bit at the bottom. But so the medical industrial complex was first named in 1969, but disability justice activists in I think the early 2000s really came together after an organizing conference in Detroit, and they worked together to kind of parse out what the medical industrial complex is. So for a lot of non-disabled people, you might interact with the medical system or industrial complex very rarely. Sometimes you go to the doctor for a physical. If you're sick, you might go to urgent care, but other than that, the doctor or interacting with anything related to the medical industrial complex is a very one-off thing. Um, and I was talking to my friend who's also disabled, and we were talking about our horrible doctor experiences, but we were also saying that for non-disabled people, if you do have a horrible doctor experience, which is very likely because of how the system is set up, because you have to go to the doctor so less frequently, it might be easier for you to forget about it or to just say, oh, whatever, because it's something that you might do again in like a year. But for me, for example, I have 4 doctor's appointments next month. So it's something that's so ingrained in my life that it's very difficult for me to ignore what is taking place there. In the middle of the chart, there's a box with eugenics, a box with desirability, a box with charity and ableism, and a box with population control. So I think that a lot of times when people talk about ableism, people ignore the aspect of like desirability and just the fact that if a disabled person is presenting in a certain way or is essentially like disfigured by like ableist body standards, they're less likely to receive care and respect. When people seek out disabled people to interact with, they're still doing it with the lens of like racism and ableism um, and homophobia, etc. But just desirability, I think, is something that often gets um, thrown around as though it's something like fluffy or it doesn't have like real tangible impacts on people, but it does for everyone, especially like for trans people or Black people or people with dark skin. And so I think it's interesting that this chart dedicates a whole quarter to it. For people who are able to view and read the chart, are there any other sections that um, are bringing up things for you or mentioning things that you hadn't thought of as being part of the medical industrial complex? In the chat, someone says, that's real. Regular everyday life, I paid little mind to my providers. Once pregnant and seeing providers so often, I definitely quit multiple providers. Yeah, like before I became disabled, I was like a doctor, like, okay. Like I understood that people had awful medical experiences because I had, but again, it was like, it just felt like something that I could easily ignore because it wasn't like this person is in charge of whether or not I live or die, or whether or not I have a higher quality of life. Someone else said in the chat, I've never heard of the term, I'm sitting with it. I think another thing is just when I learned about ableism, I think I fully actually understood eugenics and like what that means and how that's normalized in our society. Um, because it's something that is frequently used to like control the population of disabled people we have. And it's also just a normalized thing, like the way that people talk about like, oh, I would never want to live like that. I would never want to have a disabled kid, etc. Um, and also just the fact that, like I said before, since a huge amount of people who are incarcerated are disabled, um, the state uses um, the prison system as population control for disabled people. It's a way to get disabled people, using this in quotation marks, off the street, um, instead of actually focusing on making sure that our needs are met. For example, I'm not on disability, but if you are on disability, there's so many limits you have to like whether or not you can get married, how much money you can save, etc. And so we're given the bare minimum. not even that. I don't even think we're given the bare minimum. But one way that the state can avoid doing that is just by finding a way to criminalize us, which happens frequently. And we can go to the next slide, please. So you can take a minute to look over these names. There are a lot of disability justice activists, but these are just some that come to mind and who have informed the work in this presentation. And all of the people on this list are abolitionists, and a lot of them are engaged in abolitionist work right now. So their writing and work explores the intersections between ableism and the prison industrial complex. And maybe, I don't know if y'all do like a wrap-up email for these meetings, but maybe the list and the presentation could be sent out if possible.
For sure.
Okay, great. We can move on to the next slide and then maybe come back to this slide at the end. Okay, so like was mentioned in the chat and I briefly mentioned, ableism, because it's a part of our society, it's unavoidable even in movement spaces, whether it's grassroots groups, volunteer groups, nonprofits, etc. An example of this is just the fact that disability justice and disabled organizers are frequently thought of as an afterthought. And that can show up in different ways, like for example, inaccessible locations or physical spaces for events, a lack of access descriptions, a lack of information on event posts, a lack of language access, assumptions about people's physical capacity, but also just not being centered in our analysis of social issues. So for example, I work in Repro, and the legislative session, which just ended about a month ago, was one of the hardest times of my life because I could not physically do things that other people were doing. And I often felt like I had to advocate for myself in a way that just really just reminded me of how ingrained this is in all movement spaces. But yeah, I would love, especially from people who don't ID as disabled, but anyone feel free to share. Can you think of other examples of ableism showing up in our movement spaces?
Kay here. She, they. So I'm just thinking about like, I guess the whole situation with all the things as far as like, I guess COVID restrictions and like mask mandates being, I guess, like dropped, and folks like being forced to go back into like workspaces or having to like navigate like uncomfortable situations where they have to like be around folks, especially still having to navigate like the pandemic and being like more susceptible to like, I guess, getting COVID, but also like having worse, I guess, conditions, if that makes sense. I had all the words, but they kind of got jumbled up, but I hope it makes sense.
Thank you. That was helpful.
Hey.
Yeah, so COVID not only brought up a lot of discussions around ableism, but it made a lot of people disabled. But a lot of those people don't know about disability justice, or maybe they wouldn't actually identify as disabled. But if a lot of people have gotten COVID, and a lot of people are still feeling the impacts of COVID months later, and we won't actually know the physical impacts of COVID until probably years from now. But it's just interesting for me to think about. It was a mass disabling event and probably the largest one that I've ever experienced in my life. But when it comes to the day-to-day, I feel like I still have like the same amount of people in my life who identify as disabled, even though their lives are drastically different because they contracted COVID. Okay, I think we can go to the next slide. But it's not all bad. There are some examples of um, organizers, people in the repro movement, etc., who are showing up for disability justice. For example, there was a point during my job when I first started where I felt that a physical or a in-person event that we had was not accessible, and I was able to talk to the group about my feelings, and I felt really supported. And the next time we planned an in-person event, different changes were made, and that was really helpful for me. I mean, it was a bad experience to go through, but just seeing that people are receptive and want to find ways to include disabled people in their organizing um, gives me hope. So here are just some ways that disability justice does show up in our work. The pace at which we move. And I'm going to talk a lot about pacing in a later part of the presentation, but also the issues and causes that we care about, the ways that we view disability, disability justice, and our disabled comrades, the analysis we use, and who we remember. Um, Fortunately, when you are disabled, a lot of times you end up mourning people that you might not have gotten to physically meet, but whose work has had a large impact on you because of the way ableism is set up. And because of the way the medical industrial complex is, a lot of us are failed. And so a lot of the work of disability justice is remembering whose work we're building on and being grateful for that. So are there, I mean, I just gave an example, but are there any positive examples that you've seen of disability justice in your movement work?
This is Ayola, and some positive examples that I've been seeing is people, like organizations, like trying to practice what they would like to see in the world and kind of setting a like an example of good spaces that like are not ableist. And some that I've been really happy about is like I've gone to like conferences and stuff where they'll have like little like resting rooms where people can go if you're like overstimulated. You can like leave and there's like no like stigma about you like getting up to go like take a moment to breathe and like calm yourself before coming back to be around everybody. And I think that's really awesome because specifically with like people with social anxiety, like little accommodations like that are I feel like weren't usually happening, but now they're way more common, and there's in office spaces too, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good point. Um, Someone says, I've seen an increase in ASL translation at events and trainings. I've seen an increase in people asking for scent-free spaces because a lot of people have allergies or sensitivities to different scents or heavy perfume. And I've seen more people feel comfortable saying, hey, if you're going to come to the space, please try to keep scents to a minimum. I've also seen more people using image descriptions or more people asking me for image descriptions when I post things on social media, which has been really great. Okay, I think we can go to the next slide. So one of the main organizing things that I'm doing right now outside of work is working on the Free Ashley Diamond campaign, which is a campaign to free my friend Ashley Diamond, who is actually from Georgia. She's from Rome, Georgia. And I'm going to kind of talk about how the organizers on this campaign try to use a disability justice framework for doing our work. But first, I'm going to tell you about Ashley's story. Next slide, please. So for an image description, there's pretty much a light and dark purple timeline on the screen. And then there's a picture of Ashley in the corner. And she's a Black woman with long brown hair and a plaid shirt on. And she has like a cross necklace. So basically, Ashley is a Black trans woman, an activist, advocate, and entertainer, like I said, from Rome, Georgia. And in 2012, she was imprisoned and held in a men's prison, and she was assaulted and denied hormones. And basically, she was arrested for a very small crime that did not impact anyone's safety, but she received a 10-year sentence. And then around in 2012, I think, Ashley filed a lawsuit with the Southern Poverty Law Center and the Center for Constitutional Rights against the Georgia Department of Corrections. And she was released on parole in 2015. And in 2016, she was given a large settlement because the federal government found that the Georgia Department of Corrections was violating Ashley's constitutional rights and the rights of other transgender people who were incarcerated by denying them hormones and safety. And so the Georgia Department of Corrections changed their policy, which was an organizing win, except that in 2019, Ashley was arrested and imprisoned for a parole violation. So she was arrested for trying to seek medical care in a place that was more trans affirming than where she was located in Rome. And she was placed in a men's prison again and denied hormones again. So basically, long story short, the Georgia Department of Corrections settles this lawsuit, then reincarcerates Ashley and does the same exact things that she sued for previously. And so that started the process all over again in 2020 when Ashley filed a civil rights lawsuit. And I met Ashley when she had just gotten out. So I met Ashley in 2015 and we reconnected in 2020 when I saw in the New York Times that she was reincarcerated. And we can go to the next slide, please. So after I reconnected with Ashley, excuse me, after I reconnected with Ashley on JPay, which is a messaging system for people who are incarcerated where you have to pay to send an email, basically, Ashley and I started talking about how our lives had changed since we last saw each other. And I talked about how I was a member of a group called Survived and Punished, which did survivor defense campaigns. So campaigns to free survivors or free people who are criminalized for what they had to do to survive various types of violence. So Ashley and I worked together and we created the Free Ashley Now / Free Ashley Diamond campaign. And it's a survivor-led effort focused on decreasing Ashley's isolation while she's incarcerated, freeing her from prison, and creating community support that continues beyond her release. So all of us in the collective are abolitionists, and we engage people from all across the world to support the call to free Ashley. And we also want to raise awareness about criminalized survivorship and the prison industrial complex in general. Also, on the slide, there's a picture of Ashley or drawing of Ashley with a yellow background, and Ashley is wearing a red button down. And the picture says, fighting for the safety, health, and dignity of incarcerated trans people in Georgia. So like I said, Ashley is an advocate. Through her initial lawsuit, she was able to change the trajectory of so many trans people's lives. But now she's facing retaliation for what she's done. Next slide, please. So I did a presentation with another member of the Free Ashley campaign, and we talked about the importance of an organization or belonging to a group. And of course, we don't speak for every disabled person or every disabled organizer, but this is just what campaign members have said. So we said that as disabled organizers, it's really important for us to be in an organization because we're able to build sustainable long-term power together. And we have autonomy and ownership over our projects, and we can bring a disability justice lens into organizations where it might not be as prominent. And for our disability, we thrive well with routine because it's difficult for us to act or plan in a spontaneous manner sometimes. So we wanted to make sure that we had a campaign that had consistent meeting times and that was in accessible places. So it's really accessible for us because we all live across the country. So we only meet virtually, except we just onboarded some new members and some of those new members live in Georgia. And another thing that we said that we have in our group that's important for us is we need structure so that when one of us cannot hold something, it doesn't mean that all the work stops or falls apart. So we're able to plug in and out of work. And it allows us to be honest about our changing capacities and rest if we need to. Next slide, please. So the Free Ashley Now campaign actually started because of the Disability Justice Mutual Aid Fund that I started with my friends. So we raised $60,000 for disabled organizers. And then once I connected with Ashley, we decided that we wanted to keep organizing together. So that campaign, or that fund, pretty much shifted into the Free Ashley Now campaign. So because the majority of the organizers are on the campaign are disabled, we try to practice disability justice. So it might be in ways like we only post images with image descriptions, and we only promote other events with image descriptions. We only host events that have ASL translation and transcription. And if we can't find ASL interpreters, then we don't have the event. We practice degrowth. One of the members of the campaign is a degrowth scholar. And basically, degrowth is just this idea / argument that in order to have a world that is livable, even in the midst of climate catastrophe, we have to degrow. We have to slow down what we're doing, and we have to consume less. So degrowth shows up in our interactions with each other, where if someone needs a break, we take a break. And we also create a group where people feel comfortable saying that they need to slow down. And because of that, we're able to be honest and compassionate with our limited capacity. And we're not perfect at practicing disability justice, but these are just some of the things that we try to incorporate in our organizing. Next slide, please. Another thing that we try to incorporate is interdependence, which is very important for disabled people, which is basically just relying on each other and not being ashamed to do so. So for us, interdependence means knowing that only we have each other's back, not the state, not any system, but what we create together for our unique situation. And Mia Mingus, who's one of the disability justice organizers I mentioned, said on interdependence, interdependence moves us away from the myth of independence and towards relationships where we are all valued and have things to offer. It moves us away from knowing disability only through dependence, which paints disabled bodies as a burden to others and at the mercy of able-bodied people's benevolence. So basically, when people hear or when people observe disabled people, we're often thought of as a burden, or how we're often thought of the things that we can't do or the ways that we're negatively impacting other people's lives. But interdependence is a way of viewing disability as a strength, or viewing disability as a way that we can connect with each other. And it's not something to be ashamed of. Next slide, please. So this is just a quote from Ashley, which I love, which says, "People always ask me, what can I do? I'm only one person. My answer is, it only takes one." And that's something that I and the rest of the team try to keep in mind throughout our organizing. And yeah, so that was a lot. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. It could be about the presentation. It can be about disability justice or abolition in general. But yeah, thank you.
How do we get involved with your group?
Yeah, so you can follow Free Ashley on or Free Ashley Now on social media, and I'll put the handles in the chat. But we have letter writing events where we co-host events with other organizations or campaigns, where you can learn more about the work we're doing and more about upcoming actions and things like that. And if also you can go to our website, which I'll also put in the chat, and you can write to Ashley too, and just kind of follow along with what's going on.
I'm still curious about something you brought into the space earlier, which was around the quote where it said, "You don't have to be disabled to experience ableism." And I'm wondering if that organizer gave any examples when they updated that definition, or if anybody has some thoughts around that, because I'm trying to turn that over in my mind, but it doesn't quite make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely sure, but for me, I'm thinking about how, well, I don't know if this applies, but like I was saying, how a lot of people who are disabled um, don't identify as disabled, or don't identify as whatever conditions they have. They don't identify that as a disability, but they can still be discriminated against for it. So I'm not sure if that's what the quote is getting at, but I would love to hear other people's thoughts too.
I like that. Oh,
That's kind
Sorry.
of how I interpret it. Oh, I was, yeah, I interpreted it seemed like as an able-bodied person, I was also grappling like, what does that mean? I think it's if people assign discrimination towards you based on their assumptions about your ability. That's how I kind of try to grapple with it, but I don't know. I'm curious as well.
Um,
I, go ahead, somebody else.
oh, no, hi. Something I kind of thought about with that is that I believe that I'm like a non-disabled person who has experienced ableism, mostly because you don't, well, a lot of you have not seen me in person before, but I'm I'm pretty short, like I'm 4'8", and I'm like an adult sized person. Um, and so when I think about it, sometimes like people definitely have treated me differently because of my appearance or have like assumed things about me. Like I've had people come up to me and ask if like I was on disability benefits or if I like had handicap parking stickers and things like that just because of the way that my body is. And so I don't know. I think that's a good example, but I mean, you can comment on that.
Yeah, not to social work you, but I'm wondering how that makes you feel. And if you feel open to sharing that. Like, what does it feel like when people say those things to you?
Well, it's not very good. But I don't know. It's just something. It's because it's always been like that ever since I was little because I've just always been a small person. So it's something that I just kind of deal with on the day to day, you know. But it is interesting because I sometimes talk to other people and they're like, "Wait, that happens to you?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's just an. It's like it's just become normalized." I would like to talk more about it later if you want, but it is an interesting experience indeed.
Wow, thank you for sharing. I really appreciate it. Um, does anyone else have
I
anything they want to add?
I want to.
Oh, okay.
I'll go after you.
I wanted to. Oh, okay. Sorry. Um. Well, I'm on, like I said before, I'm on a cane, and I'm on a four-prong kind of cane that older people use, and it's because I need the four-prong kind of cane, and I often get these looks like, what is she doing? Because I'm so young. Why is she on this cane? What's wrong with her? Um, kind of looks, and it makes me uncomfortable. And I don't know, is that ableism, or I don't know what to call it. I don't know what the word is for it, but it makes me feel some type of way every time I'm in public.
Yeah, and I mean, I cannot tell you how to feel about your experience, but when I do use my cane, people frequently are like, "What's wrong with you?" By people, I mean my family. But also just like the way that people interact with me, like a lot of times when I'm using my cane, people avoid eye contact because they're taught that you're not supposed to stare at someone with a mobility aid. And they just go to the extreme. So they just act like you are not a person. Also, people have, well, different people think of their mobility aids differently, but I think of my cane as an extension of my body. Um, so people will move my cane without permission, or they'll trip on it or knock it over, and maybe they feel shame or maybe they feel embarrassed, but they won't even acknowledge it. And so for me, when all that stuff happens, I identify that as ableism, because it feels like specific experiences that I would not have had people not had the knowledge that I was disabled. It feels like very specific, like even though like my experience is like changed by the fact that I'm Black and I'm dark skinned and I maintain other like identities. Just it's a very specific experience that people the way that people engage with me if they assume me to be disabled, or they hear or learn more about like how I feel physically. And so that can be really frustrating, especially as we go back into other people go back to normal. The assumption that I will want to travel a lot for work related events and things like that has been something that I find, or I personally identify as ableist.
I wanted to add to what the question that Carter had asked. So I saw this TikTok of this person who like does work around disability justice, and they were talking about how like everyone in their life will experience or either have a disability, experience some sort of ableist moment in their life. And it just made me really think about like all the things as far as like transphobia as well. I'm just trying to connect the two, but just thinking about like how folks who aren't trans may deal with certain moments where like people may perceive them as trans even though they're not, and like may like add expectations to their body, may judge them, may make them feel uncomfortable, like I don't know, in the bathroom for example, like folks getting misgendered. So I guess when I think about that also is like just thinking about like the folks who are furthest from proximity to power. And oh, okay, you're welcome. And like none of us get free unless like the folks who need the most advocating for get free. So it just makes me really just think about like how all these experiences are connected and intertwined. Or even just thinking about like fat phobia, like someone who may be riding a plane and they may need a seatbelt extender, but if all the seats were automatically like just extended seats, extended seatbelts, everyone would automatically just like feel that comfortability or feel like they're able to like, maybe like stretch out the seatbelt or make it more wider open when they're sitting down after the plane is, I guess you're able to like remove your seatbelt. You can just like, unstretch it if it's too tight. Just thinking about all those things. That's
Thank
what comes
you.
to my mind. You're
That's
welcome.
really helpful. Yeah, okay. When I was talking about it, it did remind me of a friend who is cis and who is frequently misgendered, and treated a different way because people assume that she's trans. Um, but another thing I'm thinking of is that like when we make spaces more accessible, it helps everyone, not just people who ID as disabled. But another thing is like accessible spaces, um, they prevent me from exacerbating my disability. So if a place has a lot of stairs and does not have an elevator, that can cause me to have a chronic pain flare up for weeks on end. Versus if the place was just initially accessible, I would still be disabled, but the way that I navigated my disability wouldn't be negatively impacted. So like you were saying about seatbelts, like whenever there is like an accessibility improvement, a lot of times ables will think of that as like a gift they're giving to disabled people, when in reality, it benefits all of us and improves life for all of us because more people get to be included in our organizing and we get to learn from each other. But yeah, that's, oh, Kay, your hand is up.
Oh, sorry, I meant to clap.
Oh my God, that is clapping. Sorry.
Oh, no.
Thank you. Well, I really appreciated my time here. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And thank you to Spark. And yeah, I'll put my personal email in the chat if you want to talk to me afterwards. But thank you again, and I hope everyone enjoys their night.
Thank you so much, Kay.
All right, well, we can get ready to close out. Again, everyone, the Uber Eats link, if folks hadn't used it, it's in there. Yeah. And also Kay's information is in the chat as well. So yeah, it was amazing and hope to see y'all next month. Make sure y'all follow Spark, RJ Now on Instagram and all the other things. Y'all have a good night.
Toodles, yeah.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.